You know, it isn't often in my life that I'm proven wrong. Okay, my sister should be done laughing at me right about now. And so, when I went to my local public library and saw this, Wayside the movie, a cartoon adaptation of Louis Sachar's Wayside School books, I really thought it was gonna suck. Especially considering how good the books are and how incredibly subpar the animation of the movie is. But it was short, so I figured I'd give it a watch, and if it did suck, then I'd only wasted 50 minutes of my life as opposed to... oh, hang on. 128. As I watched this movie, however, I was surprised at how many times I actually found myself laughing. This movie is actually a decent attempt by Nickelodeon Studios to capture the zany spirit of Louis Sachar's stories about a school that is sideways in more ways than one, and the students and teachers who go there. Jump cut? Matt? Matt? Hello? Matt? Where the hell is he? Excuse me a moment. Matt? Matt? Matt!
What? What? Oh, what do you want?
Dude, we got a review to do?
Review? I thought we weren't doing Little Princess till next week.
No, we're not. It's for Wayside.
Oh. Wayside? That half-assed cartoon from Nickelodeon? Are you trying to lose points?
Come on, it's not that bad or I wouldn't be asking you to do it, you know that.
You're gonna drag me out of bed to do a comparison of a brilliant 3-book children's series.
It's a decent attempt
compared to a 50-minute cartoon
off, I know,
movie.
but it's not that.
It's not even a movie. It's a glorified television episode.
Alright, if you seriously want to miss out on more points for yourself.
I don't need your charity.
Score of 1 to 3 says you do.
Books will make a comeback, Hatter. You mark my words. You may have kicked my book-loving ass in the last review, but not again!
Alright, yeah, okay, fine. Books will make a comeback and you'll show me what for. In the meantime, you want to maybe come out here and tell everybody why Louis Sachar's series is so great?
Fine.
Excellent. So here's Books vs. Movies review of Louis Sachar's Wayside School series versus Wayside the movie. Now, the nature of these stories is a little different from the other stories that we've reviewed here. There really isn't a protagonist or antagonist, but rather several stories about all the characters. Therefore, we're going to condense our usual 3 character categories into one. So, this review will only have 3 rounds: characters, imagery, and story. That said, let's get started by looking at those strange students and teachers from Wayside School. Now, obviously the book series has way too many characters than can be crammed into a 50-minute movie, and the movie wisely doesn't try. The protagonist of the movie is Todd, the kid from the book who always gets into trouble no matter how hard he tries to be good. In the movie, he's also the new kid, and so he also serves the part as straight man to the insanity of Mrs. Jewell's class. A part that is traditionally played by the audience in the books. Which I'm certain has some sort of benefit or significance. Matt!
What? Oh, sorry. Louis Sachar's Wayside School series consists of 3 books, the first of which was published...
No, we're past that. We're on to characters now.
Right, characters. Right. Okay. I'm with you now. I'm good. Characters.
Really, this series is about the characters. The first book, Sideways Stories from Wayside School, has a chapter for each of the characters in Mrs. Jewell's class, which establishes them nicely. The movie mostly just focuses on Todd and his general reaction to the antics of Mrs. Jewell's class, which is funny in its own way. But one of the things that I really like about the books is that there is absolutely no indication that what is happening is not completely normal.
In fact, there's every indication that our world is the strange one and theirs isn't strange in the least. The antics of Wayside School are just as funny without the straight man, but of course if you're going to be making a movie out of a series of short stories, you gotta streamline it a little bit, and it's helpful to have a protagonist.
Other characters make an appearance in the movie too. Most prominently we have Mauricia, who ends up being the love interest for Todd. The movie basically takes one line about her character, the fact that she can beat up any boy in Mrs. Jewell's class, and kind of makes that the revolving point for the character in the movie. The other two students featured in the movie are Myron, who is running for class president, whose job it is to turn on and off the lights, and Dana, his manic, rule-quoting campaign manager. While the characters aren't exactly the same as they are in the book, they still reflect the original intent of the book characters, which is that they be caricatures of people that we knew in school. The teachers are the same way. Mrs. Jewell is so delightfully clueless that she's easily one of the funniest parts of the movie, which is actually pretty close to the Mrs. Jewell in the book. They also added some nice touches with the other teachers, especially Miss Mush, who in addition to being the kindly old cafeteria lady who can't cook, is also Italian. Which actually kind of makes sense for her character. But there are times when the characters are a little bit too over the top. Mr. Kidswatter was pretty good in the movie, but he was just a little bit too cartoony for me. I mean, he's cartoony in the book too, but he can also be really intimidating. I mean, his name is Mr. Kidswatter. Also, I wasn't really crazy about what they did with the character of Lewis, basically turning him into a surfer, stoner, hippie dude. I'm not even sure why they did this, but it really doesn't fit in with my perception of the character. When I think of Lewis, I think of someone who's like a childlike big brother to most of these kids. He'll play with them and he relates with them really well, but he is still essentially an adult. He doesn't try to sound cool or hip or whatever, which is kind of the feeling I was getting watching this movie. He's just very young at heart and playful, and therefore the kids gravitate towards him. While the movie characters really do capture the spirit of Louis Sachar's characters really well, they're not quite as grounded in reality as they are in the book series, which is one of the things that made the book so much fun to read. We know these people. The movie was just a little bit too cartoony at times for us to really relate well to the characters. Plus, there's also the fact that the books just have more time to develop more characters. There's almost 30 kids in Mrs. Jewell's class, and we get to know all of them. And the movie really only had time for 4. And that's not the movie's fault, it's a short movie. But it does mean that the books really do have the better characters.